Hi everyone, I am Aubrey Monroe and this is my video on my school culture. And I'm going to go through two of them, two different schools. And my first one was my elementary school, and I really thrived in that school because they had a routine and I loved it. The teachers were so supportive. Like, I remember cheating on a test once and a teacher pulling me aside out of class to ask me if everything was okay, if I was having troubles with anything, and really cared about why I cheated for the test and not focusing on, oh, she cheated. And the principal there was amazing. He was always involved in stuff. He was an older gentleman, and we all just like talked to him openly. And I remember there was once where we had a fundraiser, and if we raised a certain amount of money, we were able to cut off his beard, which is huge for him. It's big and long, and we raised the money, and kids actually got to go up and clip off his beard. And he was so supportive of us there. And the kids were actually okay too. I had over 30 ear infections in the first 2 years of my life, and so I had to go through 8 years of speech therapy because in the stage when kids were learning how to talk, I didn't have hearing. And so I talked funny some of the times, and if a student ever made fun of me, a teacher would take them aside separately and really talk to them about it. And so I thrived in that school. They were really just for supporting the kids, and I love that. And then I got to middle school, and I had a teacher who, I think it was just her having to do the school curriculum, and so she wasn't really into finding people's personalities. They were really into, here's a spelling test, get this in, and more on the academics than trying to find the individual. And she called my mom once to talk to her and pretty much said, Aubrey doesn't do what she's told, she just sits there, and pretty much saying that I was a bad student. And so after my mom questioned her, she realized that the teacher had me in the back row. And my mom asked the teacher, have you read Aubrey's file? And the teacher looked at her with a weird look like, no, why would I do that? And my mom said, if you would have read her file, you would have seen she had 30 ear infections in the first 2 years of her life. She doesn't hear very well. Also, stated in my file, I said Aubrey needs to sit in the first or second row because I had bad eyesight and I was red-green colorblind, and so if the teacher wrote with red or green on the board, I couldn't see the instructions. And as my mom was going through this list of, did you read her file, the teacher just got more and more irritated. And my mom finally kind of yelled at her and was just like, Aubrey has to read your lips, you have to be facing her for her to be able to read them, so you can't be doing instructions up on the board with your back to her, you can't do red-green. And as a result, the teacher ridiculed me in front of the class. Like, he said, oh, we have to redo the whole entire seating arrangement since Aubrey needs special attention. And very quickly, the class turned against me, just like the teacher did. And so instead of being my own individual, I was kind of a loner. And so I got to high school, and I really had the shopping mall high school. I came from a small town, students really didn't care if they were in class or not. We had a high dropout rate, and so the teachers started doing lots of treaties. Students had to do the main curriculum, and then they had all these electives that they could choose, but in the main curriculum it was, if you want to work, do, if you don't, just don't bother people, be on your cell phones, whatever. And it was very hard because there were some students who really wanted to learn and thrive, and some students who were distracting the class. And unfortunately, that's kind of the school I grew up in. And they had the specialty shops were like their sports, especially football. Football ruled all, which was very weird because the huge thing in like my junior year was that we won our homecoming for the first time in 50 years. Like, the football team sucked. People only came to the games to see the band perform their halftime show. And as a result, the principal saw this, and so he started cutting the band program, which I was in. They got rid of our band teacher, which even now makes me emotional because he was a huge figure in my life. And they brought in somebody else who didn't really care about marching band. And it really tore the band apart. And it was really hard for me because that was like my safe haven. And I went through it, and I survived, and it was hard for me because the school only cared about football. They didn't care about preparing me for college, which they really didn't. The only classes that I liked were my honors classes, And those are just my safe haven because it was a whole classroom of students who actually cared about learning. And so overall, my elementary school culture was great. They really cared about the students. And then somewhere as the years went on, it was just, we're trying to get you through the classrooms and that's it. And they didn't really care about what they were teaching us, if we were individuals or anything like that. And unfortunately, we were a small town, we didn't have a lot of money, and there was only one of each school. So it wasn't like up here in Boise where you got to choose, you know, if you didn't fit well in this school, you can go to a different school. And so I really want to be a teacher because I really don't want that to happen to any other kids. I really want them to get that individuality and have a classroom that is a safe haven. Thank you.